This week on Music Worth Buying, we're going to be checking out Another Summer of Love by GospelbeacH.
And The Mission, which is the return album from Styx.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Music Worth Buying. My name is TJR. I'm a musician and music writer.
And my name is Robert Kinsler. I'm a music writer and a musician.
And so, once again, we have some new albums that we've discovered that we want to share with each other and with you and see what you think. I want to hear what Robert thinks. He wants to know what I think. And so we're just going to find out what everybody's thinking today. I'm going to start off with an album entitled Another Summer of Love. Now, this is from a band called GospelbeacH. Now, if I had to describe GospelbeacH, let's start with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And let's picture them as a band raised in Southern California, with that Southern California kind of laid-back influence. Let's add in a little bit of Grateful Dead into the mix. And let's add in a strong influence of what we would refer to as the Laurel Canyon sound. And we might start having a little bit of an idea of what GospelbeacH sounds like. But the bottom line is that these are really infectious songs. From first listen, track after track, I was enjoying every single track. There is, and this is where the Tom Petty comparison comes in, there is a strong influence with the vocals, but it's that whole don't bore us, get to the chorus ethic. Very strong on this album. Makes for really enjoyable music. And we'll start here with a track here and see what y'all think.
Stretched across the river round where the waters once flowed through. The sunlight on our faces, the pictures rolling by. In the desert there's 1,000 things I want to say to you.
That was In the Desert, which is actually the opening track from the album Another Summer of Love by GospelbeacH, and this is their second album. It's my first exposure to the band, and let me hear what you think.
Yeah, I've never heard of this band at all. I am just blown away. I love this song. It's when you made the Laurel Canyon reference, I'm immediately thinking Dawes or 70s Neil Young and some of the Jackson Browne. Totally taps into that, but they don't sound like they're a knockoff. They don't sound like they've tried to rip off any particular song or something. I mean, very original, meaning the song's original, and the talent and the shimmering sound. It's just fantastic. I can barely wait to delve into this album.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And, the funny thing was when I was doing my research on this band, after I just discovered them, and this is another one of those albums where I'm just flipping through the new releases on the streaming service, and this title sounds interesting. Another Summer of Love. Let's just see what they're about. Click play, and just like you, the first track grabbed me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's check out the next track. Grab me. Let's check out the third track. Grab me. Okay, we're 3 tracks in. They've grabbed me so far. I think we're on our way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think we're hook, line, and sinker here. But as I went to find out information about them, I could find no website for the band.
Really?
All I could find was their Facebook page.
Okay.
Now, I did find, of course, the page for their label, which is Alive and Natural Sound Records. And now, according to their Facebook page, I did look at the credits, but according to their Facebook page, the band states here on the Facebook that the band members include Brent Rademacher on vocals and guitar, Jason Soda on vocals and lead guitar, Johnny Neiman, and hopefully I've said that right, Neiman, Neimann on keys. Hopefully I pronounced Brent Rademacher's name also. Now, I'm a little bit unsure who the drummer is because as I look from track to track, there were a lot of different names, and then there were other names of other musicians just playing different instruments throughout. But these were the only 4 consistent names that I saw here. Or I should say, I should say 3 consistent names I saw. Different drummers appear on various tracks. When I look at the Facebook page, it says also included are Ben Riddell, Derek Brown, with a cast of friends. And so it's kind of very informal.
Yeah, yeah.
And there is kind of an informal quality to the sound, which I think is to their benefit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not tight as musicians. I'm saying there's a very informal quality to the whole approach of their songs, which I find to be quite appealing. Now, packaging-wise, this album comes in a little digipack here. And here we have the front and back. Here is the interior with the disc. There is a little booklet enclosed as well. No lyrics, just credits on who played what, when, and where. There we go. And here's the back of that. And but like I said, this is on an independent label. I think it's not for. I think it's very nice looking for for such a since it's coming from an independent label, not a major release. I think it looks very nice. And I say we check out another track here. And we just finished checking out the first track on the album. We're going to listen to the last track on the album, which is a little bit untypical for the rest of the album. I think there's a strong Tom Petty influence on a lot of these songs. This one, when I listened to it, I really thought it felt more like George Harrison during his solo career.
Okay.
And this song is called I Don't Want to Lose You.
I don't wanna lose you, baby, that's all I know. I don't wanna lose you. I don't wanna lose you, baby, that's all I know.
Okay, TJ, I'm totally sold. I mean, the George Harrison analogy, I'm thinking like Cracker Box Palace era.
Okay.
Very good one. Just nice textures, not overproduced. The music breathes very nicely. Just beautiful. It just has a beautiful sonic soundscape. And just can't wait to dive right into this album and check it out.
I'm sure they're glad they've got another fan
Yeah,
now.
yeah, and I'll probably definitely be reviewing it in my weekly column as well.
And this kind of music, this is exactly the kind of music that would have been a big hit on radio back in the 70s. Prior to the time, right before the metal scene or hard rock scene came back in the Sunset Strip era in the 70s with Van Halen, which started there, there was this time period prior to that where this kind of music really made strong headway on the radio, like Jackson Browne, like you were talking about, and the Eagles, and Tom Petty, where this kind of music made huge inroads into radio. And I think this kind of music should, I wish this kind of music could make huge inroads into radio now, of course.
I do too. Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with a great melody, a great chorus. Yeah. Just solid folk rock musicianship.
Yeah.
And some bands today, like I'm thinking Dawes immediately comes to mind, but they've had some success. I mean, they've played at Stagecoach and Coachella. That's where I've seen them. But it'd be nice for them to even get more of the explosive success like some more kind of other stylings do today. But, who knows? Maybe this will catch on. It'd be
Let's
nice.
hope so.
Yeah.
Spread the word. And now, what have you got for us?
Now, something that I have to say about 2017, it's just over halfway through 2017. We've seen Fastball, Little Steven, Chuck Berry, the British band Ride. They've all made these remarkable returns with new studio albums. I'm actually here to celebrate the return from the band Styx. They have a new album out called The Mission. It's a concept album. It was recorded over the course of a few years. The band Styx tours seemingly nonstop. I think they come through Southern California here once or twice a year, which is not a bad thing. I guess they would use off days or little breaks to go in, and they've really knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned with The Mission. This is the first new Styx studio album since 2003, if my notes are right, and it's centered around the technological challenges and human costs of a very ambitious trip to the stars, and it's told from the perspective of the astronauts, some of the challenges they go through, and I just love this album, and it hit me out from nowhere. I just didn't know it was coming out.
Wait a minute. Styx has an album out?
Yeah, they do. It's called The Mission.
Whoa!
So
This, I'm being facetious here,
yeah.
but of course, but yeah, this surprises me. I mean, I didn't even know. When did this come out?
yeah, I think it's come. We're shooting this in July. I think it
Yeah.
came out in June or May.
Wow.
It's been out a few months, and I'm trying to think how I found out about it. I know I saw something. Some of the guys in the band, including Tommy Shaw, were interviewed by a well-known local DJ, and he was saying, you know, he had the same kind of reaction, like wow. And then Tommy Shaw was saying, yeah, we kind of would use little breaks here and there to record this album, and it is a great album, and I think it's done fairly well in the charts, which is nice because I think I think progressive rock in general has got. People have looked at it again and said, hey, you know what? Prog rock is pretty cool. This is great musicianship. You know, the lyrics tend to be pretty strong. They have something to say. I mean, Rush and Yes have been doing that for years.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's nice for maybe Styx to get a little, you know, reevaluation, you know, that, hey, you know, kidding aside, you know, because a lot of these bands like Kansas, like Styx, like Asia, you know, they kind of, after Nirvana came along and some of these other things, you know, that kind of music was kicked to the curb, and I think that's very unfair. You know, kind of what they were trying to do. You know, and before we talk more about the album, and I do want to talk about the packaging and the booklet because it's very cool. Let's listen to what I thought we'd do is let's listen to a little bit of "The Greater Good," one of many great songs off The Mission.
The Greater Good. Let's check it out.
Dream to be, you know you can. Come on, suit up, and we won't let you fail. Oh, the greater good. For the greater good. For the greater good.
Okay, so that song is called The Greater Good, and I really like that.
Yeah. Cool.
No ifs, ands, or buts. I really like that. At the opening, we heard one vocalist, and
Right.
then after that we heard Tommy Shaw.
Right.
Now, who was the first
The
vocalist?
first vocalist, and let's go through and talk about the first vocalist is that you hear on there is keyboardist Lawrence Gowan, who sounds very much like Dennis DeYoung, and I think he kind of was assumed that role in the band
Okay.
because Dennis DeYoung is not in the band.
Okay.
Then you hear Tommy Shaw later in the song because you're hearing two astronauts have a dialogue
Having
in
a
the song.
conversation.
Right.
Okay. Is this album like a rock opera? Would you describe it that way?
I would describe. Yeah, I think you could, or a concept album. It is about, and you
Certainly
see
a
the characters.
concept
Yeah,
album, but-
yeah, and when you go through it, you not only have the lyrics, but each song they talk about what's happening there. So I think it is in that way. It's very much like a libretto in an opera,
Okay.
where it's giving you the full story. And and I don't want to give it away. I think it is a really good story, very compelling, and I think people would, if you like Styx or you like really thoughtful, you know, great science fiction stories or science stories, you're going to love the tale, I think, you know. And, you know, and a lot of things, you know, loneliness, kind of the challenges of being alone away from Earth, all those things are very explored with complexity and I think with some, you know, bona fide power on this disc. You know, I think they obviously put a lot of thought into not just the music making, but the lyrics here.
And this is an album about the exploration of space.
It is. It is about a mission. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating, because, you know, something I've never really talked about, I don't even know if I've ever talked to you about
Mm-hmm.
it here. I have always wished that this country that we live in would re-energize the space
Mm-hmm.
program to the same level of energy that it was during the Kennedy administration.
Yeah, I agree.
I've always felt that the space program would have so many benefits for this country as far as re-energizing the economy
Mm-hmm. And schools
as far
and
as
education.
education, as far as re-energize, and I don't want to get like political social
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
as far as re-energizing just the morale of
Yeah,
the
I do
country.
too, I do.
But I've also thought so many of the great technological advances
Yeah.
that we have seen that we enjoy now,
A lot of the
can
medical
be
advances,
traced
yeah.
back
Yeah.
to innovations throughout the space program.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah.
And I don't want to get too far off topic
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
but I've always been a big proponent of the space program.
And I think it's people our age and older that remember what this did to the country and galvanized America and our spirit.
Yeah.
It's something positive. Like even, you know, the Vietnam era was very controversial. Obviously, there was people so divided. But when Neil Armstrong took that step on the moon in you know, in July of 1969, the whole world got together, and
Yeah.
for one brief moment, we were all just human beings. We were all on the same page, but it's like you said. But even beyond that, it's not not just getting one guy on the moon or something. It was what it did to the country and advanced our civilization, advanced medical,
Science, yeah.
medical science and everything. There was
Tremendously.
so many great things that came out of it, and it's just unfortunate that. But that aside, I think that kind of spirit is captured on this album. I mean, I think people that even if you haven't, if you're not very familiar with Styx, I think you should check this album out. If you're at all interested in concept albums or the space or anything like that, I think it's a very ambitious and effort that's really rewarded the band with some great songs.
Even if I wasn't interested in Styx, just the concept alone, and after hearing this one song, would make me want to check out more because of my interest in re-energizing America's space program. That would make me want to hear this more. It's an interesting bit of irony, though. I have to bring this up.
Uh-huh.
When Styx came out with, was the album entitled Kilroy Was Here? One of their last albums, I, Robot?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. The one, I don't know that, and we should check.
Let's check that real quick.
Yeah, let's check that real quick.
One moment. We're back. So yes, it was Kilroy Was Here. I can remember watching a VH1 Behind the Music special about Styx. And this was the last album by what was considered the classic lineup, the lineup that had all the big hits.
Yeah.
And my memory of that Behind the Music special was that this album kind of broke the band.
Okay.
Only Dennis DeYoung was into it. The rest of the band members weren't. They really weren't into this idea of an album about robots or about science fiction or the future or a concept album to begin with. So I do have to point out the irony. Sorry. I do have to point out the irony that Styx, now without Dennis DeYoung, has put out a concept album that involves science. Science. I don't know if I should say science fiction. It is science fiction because it is
because we haven't reached the planet.
Fiction that hasn't happened yet.
Exactly.
So it is science fiction.
It is science fiction. Yeah.
But I do have to point out that irony for what it's worth. But that doesn't mean I am dissing them for doing it. I think it's great that they've done this.
And they really do sound good here. I mean, these are some killer songs in here. I was putting them in, and I know a lot of classic rock fans only want to hear a band do the songs that they did back in the day.
Yeah, of course.
But you know what? If I would see Styx, and I hope to see them, I think they're going to be touring in the fall of 2017. I sure hope that they play some of these songs, like including the next one that we'll do in a minute.
Yeah.
After I first want to talk about the booklet.
Please
go ahead. Yeah, the booklet is great. Because not only do you get photos. I mean, there's even like pictures of the stars that Mars even kind of played out. But not only do you get the lyrics, like the name of whatever character is singing it, but then there's a little introduction about what is the key plot things that are happening here. I mean, this is fantastic. This could probably be filmed and be turned into a movie or a rock opera or however you want to say it. I mean, it's such a fully realized, project. Yeah, they really worked. The band worked on it very hard, and just love it. And it's a great booklet. And you can see some pictures of them, Mars surface here, but then also, and we can see here pictures of the band in the studio working on the mission as well. It's just great,
I just wanted to say, when I said a moment ago, I sure hope so. You might think that I've already heard the album. I haven't. I just hope that classic rock bands, when they come out with a new album, won't shy away from their new material because there is this temptation to play the old hits because that's what the beer drinkers want to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember when ZZ Top had their last album out, they only played one song from their new album, and all the rest was their older catalog.
Yeah.
And that is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, yeah.
They should be playing more from the new album. I mean, this is the best place to get it out is when you're on tour.
Exactly.
I understand the pressure that the fans, you've got all these fans here that want to hear the hits they grew up with, but you got to challenge your audience as well, I believe.
You do, yeah.
Have them hear some of the new stuff.
I mean, U2 and Springsteen, I think, have increasingly, because these are two longtime, classic acts. They've continued though to champion their new material.
Yeah.
And I think it's been good because it's kept them relevant. And I'm very proud of Styx actually for doing an album that's this ambitious and totally delivers as far as I'm concerned. And I think on that note, this next song is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. It's great. And this one is called, and hopefully we're not going to be silent because this song is called Radio Silence.
Okay.
And let's check a little bit of this one out.
Hypergolic fumes, hyperbolic tunes, it's a symphony of fear. But I'm still here. Yeah, yeah. All I get is radio silence. So lonely, no communication.
And I didn't want to turn it off. Normally we play like a verse and a chorus, maybe a little bit more, and then we opine. I didn't want to turn this one off. I was really enjoying it. I did turn it off so we could get back to filming here. Enjoying this very much.
I mean, Tommy Shaw sounds amazing. He sounds
He
as
does.
great as ever. The dynamics in this song, I never want to bag on young artists and stuff, but it seems like we've moved away, like where people have to come in and knock you over the head. The song, it grows. You hear, I think that's a 12-string guitar in there, just beautiful, but it doesn't beat you over the head with anything. It just has this artful build in support of the vocals and the lyrics were basically this character saying, he's alone in the remoteness of the stars and stuff. Just really powerful stuff, I mean, it's obviously not real because Tommy Shaw's not on the stars.
Yes.
But it's very convincing, and that's one of the great things about great progressive rock, how it can take you to these places both musically and lyrically that maybe, a lot of artists that are just kind of hitting you over the head with a ditty might not do, whereas in progressive rock you're allowed to do this, and I just love this song, and I love the mission.
I have a feeling I'm going to love it too. I
Yeah.
love what I've heard so far, and I want to hear the rest.
Great.
And I'm just kind of embarrassed that I didn't even know this was out. That's happened before when favorite artists or artists that I grew up with put out an album and I don't even know about.
Well, unfortunately, and with the internet, everything's out there, but with terrestrial commercial radio, a lot of times, at least in Southern California, there's not the big stations, there's one that might play it, but you're just not going to hear Radio Silence or The Greater Good on heavy rotation, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because 30 years ago, you might well have heard this stuff, on the radio.
That's probably the reason why I gave up on radio quite a while ago, and just went to just seeking out the music myself. But thank you for bringing this to our attention. Thank you for bringing that. And so, have you heard these releases? What do you think? We're curious to know. Did you love them? Did you hate them? Please let us know. And till next time, my name is TJR. You can check out my music at my website, tjrmusic.com, and of course my other videos here on the channel.
And my name is Robert Kinsler, and of course you can read all my stuff on musicworthbuying.com, and you can see some of my concert reviews at ocregister.com.
And we'll look forward to meeting with you next time.
See you later, everybody.
Bye.